Okay. Let's get hot on the next part of 7.3. So let me just bring these down. All right. Maybe that'll help me. I was starting to get another type of echo, but I believe I had I believe it was coming from my Twitch account. All right. Let's advance. Let's see what the next one is, right? Again, my name is Andy, and we are going through the 7.3 MSQ that just released this week. And spoiler alert, if you're not quite that far yet, feel free to exit and come back later, okay? All I'm going to do for this run is just play it, right? You're going to see some things that I haven't experienced yet, and you're going to see things that you haven't experienced yet. So manage your own spoilers the way you want to. And if you're sticking around, I appreciate it. Give me the like and subscribe there. I don't know what Twitch usually, I think it's called follow. And let's get hot on it. Okay. So this one is called preservation their purpose, right? We get a bunch of options here. Like, that looks really delicious right now. I'm a big tacos fan, especially like your street tacos. Creamy alpaca pasta. Broccoli and spinach, and then that'll probably be the one I pick. Now, what I think is unique, that says Night World silver piece. Huh. Let me accept this really quick. I gotta check my inventory when we get out of this cutscene. Toliolo would greatly welcome every last Alexandrian with open arms. But what of the nation the late queen was so desperate to preserve? What of that bright haven of peace and laughter? Woklamat. I won't stand here and let her legacy be sullied any further. I will protect Alexandria. That was the promise I made to her at the last. But she betrayed you, did she not? Why do you feel this obligation? I saw myself in her, I suppose. We both felt the people's joy as our own, yet, alone, we lacked the strength to protect them. There is so much that I love in this world, too much for me to take in my arms and keep safe. And that made me afraid. I needed someone who shared that love and fear, so together we could do what we couldn't do by ourselves. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe I just wished that we could have been friends. That's sweet. I like having friends too. So, when she turned to me in her final hour, desperate to safeguard Alexandria's future, I swore that I would see it done. In the end, I think you both found the friend you needed. I would be yours as well, Sveen. Whenever you fall or struggle to rise, I'll come running to the rescue, and you do the same for me. That's how we protect the things we love. That's how we protect Alexandria. You're right. You're right. Hey, don't forget about me. This guy. How could we? We'd not be where we are without you. Right. We got a bit sidetracked there. We should probably be on our way. Do we patrol or do we see if Shell needs a hand? There you are. Galuja. Ah, splendid. We were afraid we'd miss you. Alize and the others said you were here. Good news, Andrewza. We finally found a chink in Calyx's armor. We discovered laboratories in Everkeep's 10th level that once housed the Preservation Initiative. Containment Complex 10-29. It's called, and it's been falsely registered as a distribution center. In reality, it hasn't recorded any traffic in decades. We don't think this is where Calyx is hiding as such, but it may well contain clues that will point us in the right direction. I'm sorry it took so long just to get this far. If you're interested, what do you say we all go and check it out together? Sounds like I might be unlocking a dungeon. Thank you for all your hard work. This is a huge step forward. Hee and up. We need to take the lift to get to the complex. I've cleared this expedition with the relevant authorities and have one of our people waiting to operate the lift. Let's not keep her waiting. Alright, so we were talking about silver pieces. Yep, we got one already. Okay. That was not really a concern. I was just curious about if I'm now starting to get the Night World. Is that what it said? Night World? Yeah, Night World. Allegan silver pieces. We got those for completing your MSQ or any like side quest in the first. By the first, I mean the Shadowbringers expansion pack. Oh look! Oh look! Ready to head up. Next stop, 10th level. Proceed to containment 10-29. Yee. Let's do this.
So this is one of Preservation's laboratories.
It's so dark I can barely see. Just a moment. If I can reroute the power to the circuit...
You got the lights working! Smell how stale the air is. This room hasn't been in use for many years.
It was thanks to Kryl and Galulja that we managed to locate this place.
You may remember that my earring contained the control code for the gate to the Golden City. As it was Preservation that constructed the portal, we reasoned that the code to operate it might include a signature of some sort, unique to their organization.
So I took a closer look, and a line-by-line examination yielded a string of symbols identifying the code's author. We then began accessing the nodes for every door in Everkeep, seeking out control codes which contained those same symbols. After a grueling search, we finally discovered our prize behind door number 1860, the entrance to the facility in which we now stand. I'd probably still be at it if Galulja hadn't been around to assist me.
I took breaks, but Shale never stopped working. Not even once.
You're a treasure shell. Sounds like you need one of Grenell's energy tonics. That's going to be hilarious. The sweet answer or the nutty answer? We'll go with this one. I'm going to drink an energy tonic in about 8 minutes myself.
Those concoctions would probably do me more harm than good, but...
Fake news.
I appreciate the sentiment. In any case, this next part will require your helping hands.
We need to spread out and search for something that may lead us to Calyx. We're more than happy to help, of course. But I wonder, won't he realize we've found this place?
It's highly likely, and personally I hope he does.
You all know our main objective. We're here to pick up Calyx's trail. And I've learned of a certain device that should help us do just that. I'll explain how we proceed, but according to the information I was able to dredge up, the device in question should have been installed in the director's office. Now, as for where that might be, yes, this map matches my data. This room we're in is the Researcher's Commons, located in the western side of the complex. The director's office is in the northeast of here. It's to the northeast of here. So we should cut across the circular chamber in the middle, yes? Yes, we should. But unfortunately for us, the interior door is locked. We'll need a security key with the appropriate clearance to open it. Judging by the mechanism, it'll probably be a card of some kind. Can't you work some electro magic? I'll try my best, but this type of lock is well before my time. It may take a while to crack it. And in case I can't, you might want to look around and see if anyone left a security card behind. Considering the state of the place, it does seem like they abandoned it in some haste. I shouldn't be surprised if we were to find one. If we found one. Very well. Let's get searching, shall we? I expect will have the most luck looking where the researchers kept their personal belongings. You begin searching Containment Complex 10-29. Close cooperation will be necessary to overcome the obstacles barring your path forward. Helpful hints will appear in a different color. Pay close attention to the information provided by your comrades should you find yourself unable to proceed. Okay. Take a quick glance. I gotta hit the BRB. And yep, give me a moment. I'll be back. And now I get to resume. Yes, sir, I do. Let me adjust my thing. Let me get back in the middle of the screen. All right, and so now I got to pick on some things, and it says helpful hints will appear in a different color. Like the difference between white and eggshell. A few documents sit in an untidy stack atop the desk. You find no security cards hidden among them. Well, that was unhelpful, I suppose. Let's check out this desk organizer. This small shelving unit holds some office supplies and little else of note. This half-open desk drawers. This appears to be the only desk with the drawers already open. You could tell at a glance that the desk's former owner has left some things behind. Rifle through the half-open desk drawer. Let's do this. You discover a card-shaped object. The electrode surface is marked with a bold level 1. Oh, could that be what we're looking for? Try it on the door and see if it opens. Yay! A scanning device. The card-shaped object you hold looks to be of similar size. You hold the card-shaped object up to the scanner. It's open. You did it, Andrewza. And a good thing, too. I was getting nowhere with that outdated circuit. I am curious, though. Why would they abandon a facility like this? It was run by a director, Demetrius. Or so that the terminal there told me. Perhaps there are more answers to be had once we venture further inside. Then let's continue onwards. The door to the director's office is across the central hub. Andrewza nods his head in agreement. And they step. They get to stepping. Step, step, left, 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 right. Double time. March. Cannot execute at this time, but he's doing it anyways. You hold the level 1 security card up, but the scanner beeps in disapproval. Kind of like my wife. No good. Maybe we need a different card? Yes, the scanner is demanding a level 3 security clearance to open the lock. As much as the delay chafes me, we'll just have to comb through the nearby rooms and hope that we stumble upon the card we need. Let's start our search out in the proto lab. That door is already open at least. We'll find a way through together, Shell. I'm sure of it. Me too, because that's just the way how these stories tend to pan out. Alright, here we go. Ooh, the way this room is set up. The canister inserted into the large device looks like to be a soul cell. Could this be where they conducted their experiments to create Endless? Ah, but we could probably spend days investigating this complex and find a way into the director's office. Must be must take precedence. Speaking of which, Galuja mentioned a locker over there in the corner that he couldn't open. Perhaps you could take a look. Oh, don't mind if I do. Whoop, whoop. I drug through the data tablet and found a journal. I'll read it to you. The results of experiment 158 showing marked improvement in ether extraction rates. At last, we have achieved the target value set by Master Calyx. Though I will though I will become endless as per our incendiary protocols, I will preserve this historic number along with my few remaining worldly effects. Should I write that down? 158. Preserve the number. Preserve it. Preserve the number. Yeah. The locker is shut tight, but the number pad suggests inputting the correct combination will open it. You have yet to uncover any potential combinations. Perhaps speaking with your comrades will progress in your investigation. Enter a combination, even though it just gave me a warning. Let's do this anyways. Let's see if I... Oh, snap. It's definitely not in English. Or, in any other language for that matter. Select the numbers on the keypad with the combination up to 5 digits. Then press the confirm key. So I guess if I put 158. Ooh, I got a warning. Scroll up my thingy here, make sure I did put the right code in. That's why I should write stuff down. It's not on my chat box. Let me come back chat with old Galuja. Yeah, 158. I picked the right one. All right. It appears to be a researcher's personal data tablet. Skim through the entries. Why not? Today I began my employment at Preservation. The organization was unfamiliar to me, but when the recruitment letter arrived, I had a gut feeling that this work would be far more fulfilling than any orthodox medical practice. My instincts were correct. Master Calyx's philosophy is the refined ideal of notions I've only ever vaguely entertained. That mankind must evolve beyond the shackles of its flesh and blood existence. I had a meeting with Director Demetrius today. I've heard others praise his genius intellect, yet he seems to be a guttering candle in comparison to Master Calyx's blinding brilliance. This morning, I was permitted to access the top floor and observe the workings of the living memory. As predicted, the shortage of ether required to sustain the Endless is reaching its critical levels, yet Queen Sphene insists on continuing her ineffectual flailings. Our Milala, our Melala, la 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 la, colleagues, included the protolab chief, including the protolab chief, have been behaving in decidedly suspicious manner of late. Should I report my concerns to the director? From tomorrow, I have been assigned to assist with the research project in the Deuter lab. We are scheduled to conduct a major experiment in the details of which I have been kept ignorant. It would seem prudent to back up my memory data. And that's the end of the journal. Okay, so that offered me no context. Well, it offered me lots of context. It didn't offer me much stuff to continue with. Experiment 148, submitting inference candidate. So I got 6 digits there. 201930, 201930, 201930, 201930. Darn it. Now I actually got to write these down. Two zero one nine three zero. We got 11509. Comparative study will be included in the report. All right then. Oh, another one. New proposal produced a result of 9834. Well, I have no idea what any of that means. Maybe it'll make sense later on. Let's see here, I've already talked to her. She sent me to talk to Galuja. Kyle usually has some relevant information to give us. Shudder. I am reminded by my imprisonment by the Empire. Surely this device wasn't made to hold people. Alright, so I guess all the information I got was from Uklamat. Alright, so the door is shut tight, but the number pad suggests inputting correct combination will open it. Numerical data, attempt to enter the combination. Input up to 5 digits. Okay, so the one that has 6 digits is out. That was 11509. Can I input a 6 digit? Well, that worked anyways. I found a card. The locker pops open. Inside you discover a level 2 security card. Andrewza, you got the locker open. And you found another security card. Oh, but does it say level 2? We needed a level 3, didn't we? Yes. But it should still open more doors for us to explore. You did well, Andrewza. These preservation members led such a surprisingly normal lives. Leaving notes, losing their cards. I guess I imagine they'd be more. What's the word? Bloodless? Mechanical? My parents were once part of the preservation, if you recall. Get it, Cryle. It would seem that researchers who agreed with Calyx and his philosophy underwent the conversion to endless entities. But I assume those who could not, or would not, eventually left the organization altogether. Oh, I almost forgot. The researchers kept journals in their data tablets. The one I read doesn't explain much, but something big happened in the complex, and afterwards, it was decided that everyone would become endless. The writer was really happy about this. You can tell how much they admired Calyx and his work. The entries ended after that, but maybe you can read more on the other tablet there. Right. Let's move this investigation to another room. Well, we have the Deuter lab and the maintenance facilities left to search. Both are accessed via the southeast corridor. So it's back to the hub and the locked door across the way, which will hopefully yield which will yield before our new security card. What? Which will hopefully yield before our new security card. Okay, they're saying like the door needs to yield. I'll take the old one if you like. I doubt we'll have any more use for it. Sure thing, Shell. Sure thing, Shell. And start calling her Shelbert. Here we go. Still no dungeon for 7.3 yet. A scanning device. It awaits silently. I love that adjective. It waits silently for a security card with the appropriate level of clearance. Yes, it opened. So where should we go first? The Deuter lab or the facilities? Let's start with the lab. Shell, there doesn't seem to be any power here. No, none at all. It's possible the energy supply for this room is on a separate conduit, which means there should be a contingency for opening the door. Look here. There's a sign above the card scanner. In case of emergency, backup power can be rerouted from the facilities. The facilities room is down the other branch of the corridor. Let's see about getting power restored to the Deuter lab, shall we? And Andrewza nods his head in agreement. Just examine the room for a second. I have a tendency to just run in blindly for most of the game, and most of the game just kind of allows that anyhow. Shh, should be acting. Nope. Engaging power supply. No good. It's returning an error. There must be a preliminary procedure. According to this error code reference, if the power supply has been interrupted for an extended period of time, then we need to reconfigure both the emergency generator and the circuit control panels. Shell, that's the emergency generator over there, isn't it? Yes, and by the looks of it, it's the same model as the one used in the Heritage Foundation, or Heritage Found. But how does it send power to the other lab? Ah, I see. The energy cable attached to the base of the terminal leads down the hall, directly to the dealer lab. Which means we only need a way to connect the generator to that cable. What about these patterns on the floor? This could be the circuit we need to configure? I believe you have the right of it. Using the control panels to set each of the tiles, we can create an unbroken path for the power to flow. That I wouldn't give for another instruction manual. Indeed, if you could look around for any written procedures, I'll keep digging through the terminal's directories. Might I also ask someone to operate the generator? I can do it. I've used that type of machine before. Then would you be willing to try to reconfigure the circuit path, Andrewza? The rest of us can help by supplying Andrewza with whatever information might be found on the circuitry configuration. Okay. As a fond lover of RPGs, I imagine if I use these control panels, it's going to basically rotate things. So, because this one already has a connection, let me see this. You must arrange the 4 tile patterns to access the control panel. Access the control panels and configure the circuitry. Which tile pattern will you set? Let's go to square because that's the one I walked up to. The circuit remains unchanged. The pattern you selected is the same. Well, that didn't do anything. Because I feel like I need to get like this little node or one of these nodes into this slot here. See, it's going to give me this. Ah, okay. With that being said, now that I know that I can't rotate the panels, it's clear what I must do. Nope. It is clear what I must do. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, so let's hit the triangle right here. Okay, okay. So, let's see what the diamond looks like. And let's put the circle right here just to get them all configured. Look at that. You have connected the circuits. Inform your comrades of the successful reconfiguration. Guys, I did it. Look. It worked. We did it, Andrewza. The dealer lab should now be fully powered. Well done, everyone. If I may, Shell, could we access a certain data log before moving on? I was checking the storage shelves and one of the labels caught my eye. Preservation, the early days is the title. Of course, it'll only take a moment to bring up the contents. Ah, it looks to be a text-based account. I'll read it out. Preservation, an Alexandrian Institute for Technological Development, was founded by Calix, an 11-year-old child prodigy. Approval for establishing the organization came during Alexandria's involvement in the storm surge, with Calix's designs for new defensive solutions founded in large part by the Treasury. Funded. It's probably said funded, right? Yep, it did. As the conflict grew in intensity and casualties mounted, Calix funneled preservation's resources towards the perfection of memory storage. Research into this field continued even after the storm surge came to an end, with Calix eventually electing to preserve his own memories in a virtual domain. So this account is from before he embraced his endless existence, hundreds of years ago. I met him only once before the storm surge began. I was attending my father, who was the reigning king of Alexandria. Calix could not have been more than 10 years old of age, and required constant treatment for his debilitating illness. Yet, he published theories so highly regarded that even the royal family was aware of his achievements. Life should not be lost to the injustice of death. Even now, I can hear the single-minded will. Even now, I can hear the single-minded will behind his words. I can hear the single-minded wheel behind his words. All right, I had to hit the right inflection there. So, it was that when war came to our kingdom, my father was quick to commit his unwavering support to his somber youth and his proposals for preservation. Several years later, the ensuing violence brought the death of both of my parents. Overwhelmed as I was by my sudden succession to the throne, I suspect they spared me the reports on endless research and the other less urgent matters. So you had no way of knowing what kind of person Calix was changing into. Did he change? I wonder. Perhaps he was ever been the type to value ideals over compassion, and I failed to see it at the time. Or perhaps he did change, but is still driven by those same deeply held beliefs that morality is cruel and unjust, and his role is to deliver mankind from this fate. Whatever the case may be, we cannot allow him to shape our future. Let's press on, shall we? If I've done my job correctly, the door to the Doodle Lab should be accessible. I'll give everything a once over just to be sure. Examine the panels. Yep. Usually pretty good with puzzles. The energy current seems to be stable enough. Still, you should let me handle this one. The security card, if you please. Oh, and a quick prayer that a shortened wire doesn't burn me from the inside out. Let's pick the Night World silver piece. Alright, let's start the next quest here. A calculated evolution. Shell is examining the card scanner. Right, I'll get this door open. And she did it. Phew. Smooth as silk. Let's head inside and see what awaits. Yeah, Naomi Butler. What's up? Good morning. Good morning. Gods. Gods above. Isn't that... They look shocked. All right, I'm going to give you the spoiler warning, right? Welcome here. It's we're continuing on with 7.3. Things about to get legit. Oh, it's going. It's going. We were just moving forward here and discovering things, and the only way that you do in these types of games. Hold on one second. I'm getting a text. What? I need to use both hands. All right, let's continue. The key to interdimensional fusion. Wait. That looks to be a schematic on the monitor. No, I really haven't played Battlefield 6. I haven't played any of the Battlefields in quite a while. It's just not a game that I find myself getting interested with back then, right? Battlefields 1, 2, and 3. But first-person shooters aren't exactly my style, anyways. I do play Fortnite. It's not really first-person shooter. I get it, but it's generally like with my kids. I got some friends that do play Battlefield. Like I'm a prior service Army guy, and some of my friends from the Marines and the Coast Guard, they love playing Battlefield. They keep harping on me about it. I don't doubt it. I think games like that are pretty legit. Uh, I like watching them. Be honest with you, I do like the the thing with it is there's a deviation, right? There's a dichotomy. Games like Battlefield 6 or Call of Duty or Fortnite, when you're playing it and you eliminate somebody else, there's like this neurocognitive feedback that you get, like that immediate rush of dopamine, and it creates a bit of an addiction to go along with that. And I'm taking it a little extreme. That's mostly because I have kids that like to play these games and they don't do a lot of other stuff. Whereas games like Final Fantasy here, you gotta read to advance, and so it helps you embrace the mundane. It helps you embrace the dull, if you will. And so, like when my kids get into class or go to school, the way their brains are more trained for the slower, the joy, the journey till the end. That's one of the reasons why I generally play a lot more RPGs than I do those first person shooters. But you're not wrong, man. It looks pretty hype to me. But hold on a second, my wife's calling me. I gotta be right back real quick. All right, I'm back. All right, let's continue. Let me see what you text. Oh, I see. W father. Sure. Yeah, yeah. All right, so we're on the right page. All right, so Wooklamat. And they've used it to make another key, but isn't it missing the shard inside, like the one Andrewza has? we may have been laboring under a misconception. The key was originally a Milala relic. Once this treasure came into its possession, preservation began working on to harness the power to cross dimensions. Yes. This is what I refer to as Chekhov's gun right here, right? We've been talking about, you know, bouncing from from the source to each of the reflections in the last couple of games since Shadowbringers, and then here in Dawntrail they, willfully went from Alexandria to Eorzea, or whatever they call the planet now. Yeah, I do play a lot of RPGs. Uh, I started playing Final Fantasy games back in the late '80s, and then with this one, I've been playing it since 2014, kind of like when the AAR, the Realm Reborn resurgence happened. It's basically when I started playing this. It was kind of off and on because I wasn't really sold on the whole needing a subscription to play games. But, throughout the years and, what happened in 2020, I was kind of bored. And so I got back into playing this like almost on a day-to-day basis. And so went in, got subscriptions, and as they say, the rest is history. I was able to play the rest of Heaven's Ward. Basically uh, finished most of the expansions. I think at that time, Endwalker was the big expansion, and then uh, this one came out earlier this year, last year, late last year, one of the two. Uh, and so here we are. I've been playing this game for a while, and on my channel, I also have some playthrough with what's it called, Expedition 33. I like that one because it has a lot of like philosophy you could kind of dive into. Uh, Another game I really like, and I can't wait for it to come to the come to stream, is so I can download it for my PC, is Death Stranding 2. No, it's not really doing it as a full-time thing. I work as a athletic director for a D1 training program in Auburn. That takes up most of my time, so I get up pretty early. Right now, it's still summer for my kids, so I get to spend some of this time playing and streaming now. But when they go back to school next week, that might change the narrative a little bit for me. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay consistent. Like this week is the only week I've really been able to play it day to day, as opposed to like several days throughout the week. So not really full time. I'm currently sitting on 13 subscribers. My next goal is to reach 20. Well, I appreciate that. I think being like doing this and what I do for work is I'm always talking to people. I'm always, trying to uh, make connections with people, and so I feel like that's a natural shift for me to be able to stream like this, to be able to hold conversations. You know what I mean? And plus, playing games like this is kind of natural too. So both of them line up pretty well. I like it. It's not terrible. I mean, 13 subscribers. I've had a I've had a Twitch account for several years. I think since 2023, but I've never really dug into it. Like this week is the first week that I put graphics on my streams. Right, you see all the cool stuff at the top with all my socials, and yeah, I do on YouTube. Some of that was bought. Not going to lie. Uh, I did a lot of stuff for Baldur's Gate 3 when that came out, and that drove a lot of people towards my channel. I think, and you'll also look through some of my stuff. It's not really strictly branded gaming. I think that's been one of my setbacks with branding on YouTube, is that my background in athletics, you'll see me doing a bunch of workouts. You'll see me post stuff that has to do with some strength and conditioning, and then you'll see some games, and then you'll see some like family videos, and then you'll see some what else is there? There's a couple of other like I don't know playlists stuff that I put together throughout the years, and it's not really exciting. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm breaking the algorithm by not staying on one track long enough. Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. Or Naomi, you're probably a chick, more or less. Don't know too many dudes named Naomi, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. Do you like Final Fantasy games? Do you like playing RPGs too? I know you asked about Battleground earlier, but are RPGs something that you're interested in too? This is just the device they made to control it. So both of those are saying the same thing. It's just the way how you present it, right? But I could be wrong, right? What? That could be the logical conclusion, yes. It is as my parents explained. So we're getting a flashback for Kryle. Started playing Z-Crow. I don't know that one. I haven't ever heard that one yet. I'm gonna look it up though. Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. It does look exciting. And it was a game of the year, so I get that. Just looking at the cover and some of the graphics about it, it reminds me of games like Ghost of Tsushima, which may or may not be like a great way to think about it. The Ghost of Tsushima game was a baller game. Like it was top tier, top quality, 6 star. Um, like action from front to back, start to finish, and like the gameplay continued to compound on itself, so it never really got stale. Uh, and so I took that mindset when I went to play Ronin, and Ronin story wise is a really cool game to play. Graphics are not the same as like as I expected with Ghost of Tsushima, but like the gameplay was a little bit more choppy, I guess is a good way to explain it. Couldn't really get a strong grasp on it, and the like turning mechanics was different. The way you can pan the screen, and sometimes you couldn't pan the screens. Nothing really got repetitive with it. Still, it's just there was a period within the first third of the game I just lost interest with Ronin. So I look at those games with both excitement and reservation, where I'm excited to find games like Ghost of Tsushima, uh, and because that was a game of the year, I'm probably going to give it a try too. Like, it's hard to pass up a good opportunity like that. We'll move on with Kryle's thought here. The key remained shrouded in misery. Preservation augmented it with electro, but it never grasped the technology's underlying principles. To this day, not a single person understands the mechanics of interdimensional fusion. Not who imbued the key with its power, not when they did so, or why. Bring my phone back up. It just blanked out. All right, so Final Fantasy 14, right? Is that the game you're talking about? Because that's the one I'm currently on. Yeah. Okay. So again, this game, like, to give you a little background on it, we're going to go all the way back to its initial conception, and I'm gonna be quick, right? So the game was released late 2000s, or was developed in the late 2000s, like 2008, 2009, and it had a few years of success, and it had a few year, or it had a couple of years of success, and maybe a couple of years of bad reputation, I guess. Is an okay way to explain that, where everybody anticipated a new Final Fantasy Online game, everybody wanted to play it, and then the story really received a mixed bag of reactions. Um, Ultimately, they were getting ready to pull the plug on the Final Fantasy 14 line, but a new developer at the time with Creative Business Unit 3 stepped in and was able to kind of recharge the vision that Final Fantasy 14 would have been. There was a lot of things that Final Fantasy 14, we'll call that 1.0, just kind of missed the mark on, right? There were no chocobos, and there were like the summons, or the, what's another way to pronounce them? Uh, Icons that are in almost every Final Fantasy that weren't present. So Yoshi P was the name of this dude, and he revised the vision of Final Fantasy 14 and laid out something akin to a 10-year plan, with a story that connected the dots. So what he was able to perform was one of the, it was really cool actually, like the way how they went from 1.0 to 2.0. 1.0 being the base game of Final Fantasy 14, and 2.0 being the Realm Reborn, uh, that you've probably heard a lot about now. Is a lot of the players back then had this huge ominous, like, catastrophe, I guess, where a big monster came out of the space. Like, for weeks at a time, it started out uh, like a small orb, and it, every week or every other day or so, the orb kept getting bigger and bigger in this, that you can look up and see, until it came to a point where that orb was getting ready to crack open, and there was this huge war that was occurring on Eorzea, which is now considered the continent that your main character is from. But back then, it was the entire Earth. Uh, and so at the end of that, the oh, dude, like, I'm telling you, like, when Yoshi P came on board, it changed everything that Final Fantasy 14 was and is. Uh, like, they poured into it. It was his sole thing. They didn't have any other projects going on simultaneously, and that's why Final Fantasy 16 and then Endwalker, when those were coming out, that was a big uh, shift, because Creative Business Unit 3 and Yoshi P had to direct both of those simultaneously. But yeah, I'll continue. So, right, 1.0 comes to this huge conclusion where this big orb comes out of space, and from there, oh, my camera's way off, isn't it? Uh, Let me fix that, because that's going to irritate me. It's not that one. Where's my USB camera? I'm gonna pull this down some. I can shift my mass over to the right. Wrong direction. There we go. All right. So, comes to this big conclusion. This orb opens up in the Final Fantasy lore. There's this massive icon or summon monster named Bahamut. He comes out and casts his mega flare. It destroys the entire planet. It brings, like, this cataclysm to its climax. It's in people. Lots of people die. But also lots of people survive. And so in the initial cutaway, right? This is during the end of 1.0, uh, where the I have to give my son a high sign. He's waiting on me to say something dumb, I bet. Huh? No. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. All right. No, it wasn't dumb or anything. He just needed to ask me a question. All right. So this thing comes, right. Bahamut comes out, destroys the. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, they're from Stream Elements. Um, and so Bahamut comes out, destroys things. People die. People don't die. And then like the game somehow flashes into like this new adventure, like the new adventurer and his team are now riding chocobos. They're going through. They're having their journey, their adventure, and it like really hypes up a lot of the 1.0 players waiting on the Realm Reborn to come out. And so, uh, no, Stream Elements just kind of let me pick and choose a bunch of the basic things. This one was a uh, I don't know, limited time. It's called Moonstone, Blue Moonstone, and it's animated. But no, I'm not that creative. I, I couldn't come up with like graphics like this on my own. All right, so after this amazing looking cutscene happens, everybody basically put their controller down and waited for the A Realm Reborn to hit the market. It comes out and it picks up the cutscene where they left off, so it creates a continuity between both games, but it's still vastly different. Uh, and you go through A Realm Reborn. It's not necessarily the new base game, but it's not really an expansion. It's kind of like a soft reboot of the game, and so you'll see elements of your original character, your titular characters from the 1.0 throughout most of that game. Some names are familiar. Some, they become huge plot threads throughout, uh, the soft reboot there. It can be, right? Like when Yoshi P made this, they made it where it was a real living world where you would have history, you would have, the fallout of past wars, you would have the fallout of uh, the current wars and what happened after the cataclysm that I was just explaining, right? The seventh calamity is what they called it. And so there's a lot of like new nuances that they brought to the story elements that just kind of, it supercharged it, all right? Like I was saying in the 1.0 when it released, like the hype came up, but then after the story got stale, it was missing like Final Fantasy based elements. People walked away from the game. No one wanted to pay for it. No one, they did what they wanted to with it and just kind of walked away from it. And so with the Realm Reborn coming back, it created that continuity between 1.0 and 2.0, but it also created a lot of hype to get new players interested. And then it had one of the largest insurges of, player bases. More so that it started to beat World of Warcraft at the time. It was like EverQuest 2, I think, was another big game at the time. And so the Final Fantasy 14 brand just started like climbing the charts based off of the player reaction, people just making videos like this, reaction videos, where it was kind of like built-in branding. So uh, I try to, man. I'm a scientist too, so like small details are big details for me. Uh, and so from there, you know, it, the games really did a great job. Like I said, Yoshi P had this 10-year plan kind of already built out. So at the end of A Realm Reborn, it led into the first true expansion, which was called Heaven's Ward. Um, it expanded the world more. It expanded the lore more. It expanded the job based system too. Uh, and so again, gameplay never really got stale. And like right now, I'm playing 7.3, which is in between uh, two different expansions. You didn't have to wait for the next expansion for continued gameplay to occur. So that kept a lot of the gamer base for Final Fantasy 14 to go from, wait that 3 year period between A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward, right? They kept getting new stuff, and then it's same thing, right? Heaven's Ward comes through. It's tackling real world. It's tackling current ideologies of today's society. Uh, One of the biggest, what is it, reviews of Heaven's Ward. Racism is a big thing, right? The Dragonkin were being suppressed by the people of Ishgard, and that's been a long-standing war. And the Warrior of Light brings that out, and creates a union between all peoples again. So that that's in essence the Heaven's Ward. Spoiler alert. But then again, this 10-year plan continues moving on. Uh, the next expansion is Shadowbringers. Shadowbringers, not Shade, is Stormblood. Sorry, Stormblood. Stormblood brings one of the biggest antagonists that this game and a lot of the other games really uh, have been wanting to make. So he comes out, he leads the evil army, and ultimately at the end of the game, the Warrior of Light kind of loses. So it's more akin to the whole The Empire Strikes Back. You think of the original Star Wars. You end on a high note, you end on a low note, and you end on a high note again. And so that's where some of the elements of Stormblood kind of plays through. Yeah, go for it. I told you I've been playing this game for a while. I've done it a couple times. Well, you wouldn't be the first one, Naomi. Uh, and I always welcome those conversations. Honestly, some of the graphics that I've seen from artists, they blow me away. Like I said, it's things that I can't do myself. I recognize, I try to be a jack of all trades, but that's an area that I struggle with. Uh, but ultimately, like I mentioned earlier, the games like this and what I do for work is making conversation, making people feel at ease and making people feel welcome, heard, and enjoying the craft of RPG games is something I enjoy doing. And it's not so much that I force myself into it because, as you mentioned earlier, it just sounds natural, right? Uh, and so, yeah, I do always welcome artists who want to display stuff. If you have a link, you can drop it in the chat. You can drop it anywhere else in my socials. Uh, I want I want everybody to succeed in what their craft is. Uh, and if that just happens to be yours, man, you use me as a springboard if you can. I Most times I have maybe one, two, or even three chatters online at a time, which is not the greatest, but as long as you can get your brand out there and get your talent out there, you can you can use my channel for that. It should be at the top of my screen, right? That's where you can see all my socials. I have to expand my Facebook goes Twitch. All right. Well, if you look at my Facebook, it's the same thing, but put an underscore in between the first and last name. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the sweetest. I just care about human. Anybody, everybody deserves somebody to to be in their corner and to boost them and to tell them they got this. Uh, like that's the worst feeling in the world when you have to go to sleep at night and you don't have that. Uh, and so I try to be, you know, that person for others. All right, let's go here. I see it. Obsessed with art. I'll hit follow back if it will let me. It's not letting me. There it goes. Just had to hit it with the right amount of pressure. Yeah, and like I said, those look really cool. If you wanted to use my channel here, you can use it as a marketing strategy for you too. Let me erase some of these emails now that I got my phone up. All right. I'm going to continue my playthrough here because I am starting to run out of time. Uh, Dang it. I like I love Pixel phones. I hate Samsung phones. They're not the greatest. Like everything just changed with them. It's not the same droid. All right. I'm gonna move back into the game here. I gotta get ready here soon. Yeah, I mean, I looked at your live portfolio, or what I saw on your Instagram. A bunch of those things look really cool. I don't know, is there another website you want me to go to? All right, we're going to behance.net, and that sends me to Artistry Hub, right? Now, this is a fresh review. Right, I see transforming visions into a masterpiece. You're from Los Angeles, California. Of most California cities, I think I like Los Angeles, as my top three there. Uh, right, we're going to your work, right? It's broken down into logos, banners, overlays, panels, alerts, emotes, sub badges, 2D screens, 3D screens, and intros. 2D or 3D. Oh, hold on, there's a pop up that just happened. I can't see anything. It's making me follow you on this too, so I got to log in. Okay, and it looks like it knocked me out of your profile, so I got to go back to Instagram and click on the link again. All right. And so it looks like you have a bunch of subcategories here, a bunch of different products that you offer in terms of streamer artwork. So I'm just going to click on logos for a second. It says introducing Behance Pro. So I got to start a 7-day free trial for the app. Okay, so it's giving me work experience. It's showing me basically your resume, uh, payment policies, right? I like how you have payment policies there. It's up front and people know what they're getting. And so just kind of looking through here. Now I've never been on this web page before, so I'm assuming where it's like where you see pirate Huntrilo and I can't say this one. Renesk. And then King Derpy Gaming. I bet those are all yours, right? So if I'm looking at all these like graphics, like Dexter and Saiyan Joe, those these look really cool. I could tell that there's a lot of detail in it. I could tell like you're not just one dimensional either, right? You're not just like a digital graphic artist. It looks like you can do some hand drawing. It looks like you can go from like your anime to like an Americanized. And I don't know what like the proper words here are in terms of art, but like there's different styles that you've implemented within your portfolio here. Uh, yeah, and like I could think of this one where you got like this dude on a moon and there's a bunch of stars. When I was doing uh, Starfield, that would have been a really cool graphic to use. Got some like high fantasy stuff. You got like a Aang is the name that's coming to mind, but I can't think of what the show was. Avatar: Last Airbender. You got some like replicas there. TNT auto detailing. Yeah, like you are definitely multi-talented and can definitely deliver a lot of different products to people who are needing of like a high impact like 3-second look. So yeah, put your link in the chat here so others, whenever they do come back, obviously I say that right. I only have like 1, 2, 3 people during the live feeds, but my returns are usually like 20 to 23 on video on demand. So your reach will be uh, greater after I put this on the video demand. So yeah, good work there. It looks really awesome. Love to share that with others. So yeah, definitely try to connect with my population whenever it shows up. But again, I got to hop back in on the game for a second. So I believe there is much we may learn in this room. On our next visit, I will have to enlist Yashulta's assistance for a thorough investigation. So I gotta click on the frame. Where's my controller? Yep, my controller went out. I too am curious about a great many things, but pinning down Calix's whereabouts is our priority. Hopefully, there is a security card here that grants us access to the director's office. The research conducted in this lab appears to have been highly confidential in nature. Some of the personnel must belong to the organization's upper echelons, and that means higher security clearances. I'm always open. I've told the others the same thing, right? If you want to create like a draft of something, it doesn't have to be super detailed. I don't want you to spend more than like a sufficient amount of time, right? Because some of these things I could tell you put many hours in, maybe even days putting together. Uh, I'm always open to, uh, seeing what people can bring me. Obviously, there would be I wouldn't just take it and use it kind of deal. Um, uh, I would love to sit at the table and see what presentations you may have for my channel, and uh, we can go from there. I'm always open for a conversation. Is what I'm saying. We should spread out and look for any cards left behind. Remember, anything less than level 3 is no good to us. And so now I got to search for a level 3 card. This lone storage crate is filled with documents, binders, and other miscellaneous objects, nothing of which are security cards. You find a security card on the cabinet drawer, but is it a level 3? Oh, did you just find a security card? Well, that's a stroke of luck. Let's have Shell examine it to be sure. Well, that knocked out the other nodes. Well, well. If it isn't exactly what we needed. Nice work, Andrewza. Oh, a level 3. That should get us to the director's office. So, what was it that you were hoping to find there again, Shell? What if we start with a small project like a logo and banner with some space theme as an initial start? I mean, I'd like it. I still do the uh, like how to build outposts on Starfield, so that would be on brand with Starfield. Obviously, like, and I say this in using a unique pattern because I'm in athletics. I'm in commercial athletics too. D1 training is a commercial gym. It's not like a college performance center. It's not a like a professional performance center. It's just you know an opportunity for strength and conditioning coaches to find employment because we're oversaturated, and it's harder for us to keep jobs. It's a pretty volatile environment. So D1 comes along. Sometimes for me to get people to join our roster is letting them have 2 weeks of uh, complimentary training. Right? They jump in with the team depending on their age, and they get about 2 weeks worth of complimentary training. They're in front of a strength and conditioning coach. He's blowing the whistle. He's hitting the stopwatch. And then I would say more often than not, they sign up. There are the ones that go, yeah, it's still not quite what we're looking for. Great. Shake hands, go separate ways. Uh, and so that way, they get, it's kind of like the drive or the test drive before you buy the car, in a manner of speaking. Uh, but like I said, I'm always open for a discussion. I'm always open for a conversation. You were saying that a certain device was going to help us? Right. I haven't properly examined myself, have I? I'm looking for a data relay. After we discovered this ostensibly abandoned complex, I performed a cursory investigation which detected a connection to an outside network. When I traced the data's routing, I confirmed traffic from a web of Everkeep security cameras. Considering the way Calyx is always one step ahead of us, we must assume he's quietly seized control of the city's surveillance system and has been using it to monitor our activities. to monitor what you, as the key holder, are planning. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear, like I said earlier, I want to hear everybody's story. I want to hear everybody's vision. Uh, I think that would be really cool. But since Calyx is the ultimate recipient of those transmissions, the flow of data is like a river that we can flow back to him, which is why I need the data relay. If I can analyze the device and see where it's routing all the surveillance traffic, then you can pinpoint Calyx's position. That said, he has done nothing to impede our progress, which makes me think I might be on an eternally wrong track. Maybe the reason he isn't stopping us is because he can't. Back in the old castle, Calyx said he was measuring Andrewza's strength. What can he possibly dream up that's stronger than him? Oh, speaking of cameras, there is another thing I meant to mention. I found evidence that somebody deliberately disabled the surveillance feed in this room. The most recent recording was so crudely deleted I was able to restore the data, though if you'd like to see it. Sure, let's watch it. I'll start the show then.
Are you really planning to leave?
Yes. The idea of eternal life. It's begun to frighten me. I struggle to renounce our conventional wisdom. Death is the means by which life prunes its branches, leaving the trunk to grow strong and tall. We die so that our species may flourish. What would become of mankind were we to halt that process? If unending stagnation is the fruit of our labor, then perhaps we strive for the wrong thing.
Your argument is a rejection of Master Calyx's vision.
I suppose it is. Perhaps such dread would not plague me, were I capable of sharing his perspective on the subject. But I cannot. He and I are too different, in too many ways. I lack his extraordinary genius. I had no illness threatening to cut my life short, no singularity of will to cut away all distractions and focus solely upon research. I have nothing but respect for his determination. The way he overcame his prognosis and seized the means to transcend death itself. But I'm not convinced that this obsession with living is the right path. That's why I've decided to leave preservation and put all my effort towards building a legacy for the next generation to come. Surely you...
Was not anticipating that.
Protocol, you understand. There can be no exceptions.
Cannot be any exceptions, huh? She only wanted to leave, and he executed her. I checked the images against the personnel data, and the man who pulled the trigger was Director Dimitris himself. Everything I could find on him pointed to a deep infatuation with Master Calyx. The cameras in this room have been out of operation ever since that incident. Given that the recording was erased, I can only assume he was trying to conceal his grisly deed from the other researchers. I'm not surprised, given how my parents described their defection from the Institute. Be with you in just a moment. They spoke of rushing me through a portal, even as Preservation's agents closed in on them. I dared not ask what became of them after that, but if it turns out they were captured by their pursuers, I'm going to go with they did not regret their actions. Right? These two are viable choices, that connect context to the narrative, but uh, I think because Cryo has this superhuman ability too to kind of look into like other people's points of view at different times uh, throughout history. I think I'll go with this one. It just seems more hopeful. I'm sure they managed to escape. I want to believe they did. And if they didn't, I hope they at least enjoyed what time they had as endless. Oh, Kryl. Were you not, Sveen? Thanks to the Haven of Living Memory, I was able to at least meet my parents and learn what they stood for. It is enough for me to carry on. Even now, we don't know how the conflict unfolded between your parents and Preservation. But what we do know is that your mother and father cleverly expunged every last trace of their movements. But what we do know, in context of my last message there, is that your mother and father cleverly, I already read that, they made sure no one could cross into the source or threaten their child's safety. Right, let's press on, shall we? This tale behind the key deserves a fitting conclusion. The director's office. To the director's office. All right. So let's head over to the director's office. I was really hoping that I can unlock a dungeon this round, but I was unable to do so. A scanning device. We've already anticipated this. The level 3 key. You hold the key card up to the scanner. There we go. Let's head inside. I mean, okay. I mean, you got my attention. That's for sure. Now to find the data relay. And don't be shy. Everyone speak up if anything odd catches your eye. Andrewza, come with me. I might have need of that security card. Alright, let's go chat with Shell then. D word. Dang! This terminal isn't connected to any outside networks, so it can't be the data relay I'm looking for. This office is also smaller than the map suggested. I'm positive we're in the right room. What am I missing? Sorry, Andrewza. Could I ask you and the others to search the office for any clues to this infuriating puzzle? Of course. Obviously, if the map shows that this is smaller than what they were anticipating, there has to be a hidden door somewhere. Amongst other personal effects, you find what is presumably the director's data tablet. A closed locker stands next to the table. Let's examine this. You pick up the data tablet and begin skimming through its contents. Let's see what the daily reports say. Nothing to note. The mystery of the key's activation condition remains unresolved. Well, I'm trying to see if there's a, from context of the game, there might be like a hidden door somewhere. The key triggered an explosion today. Temporary interdimensional portal verified. Continue attempts to stabilize the core's energy reactions. And so, just to give you a little more context on this game, throughout its many, expansion packs, eventually they travel to a whole nother dimension or world, kind of like the Marvel's multiverse concept, where there's mirrors and images of the base world, what they call the source. And so after that, another couple of expansions go by, and it becomes more of a MacGuffin, where, like in this part of the game, the bad guy wants to go steal the life force of other dimensions' life force. So we're trying to find a way to stop that, or even use it to our advantage. One of the two. The key triggered an explosion today, temporary interdimensional portal. Continue attempts to stabilize the core's energy reaction. 13 researchers sustained fatal injuries in the explosion. Memory faculties of 4 personnel sufficiently intact for endless conservation. Remaining 9 designated for ether reclamation process. So that's what I was talking about with stealing life force, right? That little sentence right there, remaining 9 designated for ether reclamation processing. So the human anatomy, or the anatomy of the people in this, game, their life force is designated as ether, and that's what this dude is doing. He's basically taking the remaining ether from the dead people. At this point, it's a dude named Calyx. Throughout each expansion pack, the bad guy, the big bad, has changed. But right now, it's Calyx. I don't know if he'll remain as the big bad going into the next game. Usually there's a twist where they give you a bit of a rise on one dude, and then there's a huge twist throughout that expansion where it's somebody completely different. Nothing of note. Rejected resignations of 2 Milala researchers. Major incident. Details in full report. These 2 inept Malala broke with preservation and absconded with the key. Though the fugitives have since been caught and eliminated. Ooh. They were just talking about Kryle's parents. We were too late to recover the relic. The only reason we retained our flesh was to serve Master Calyx as physical instruments to conduct his experiments. So, like, this dude that we're investigating now is not exactly Calyx. It's another administrator within this organization. He seems pretty nefarious. Deprived of the object of our research, our existence serves to no further purpose. I dare not imagine the depths of this disappointment in me. The complex is to be shut down. All personnel will have their bodies reduced to ether and will be allocated to further experimentation. Memory data will be archived. Any endless conversions will be subject to Master Calyx's discretion. If he does not deem us fit, then we are not deserving of eternal life. Yeah, we can. I would rather have that conversation over Instagram if you want to, continue that part of the conversation, so it's not like public knowledge here. Where am I? Endless conversions. What will you read? Shutdown protocols. All personnel have undergone processing. Once the shutdown protocols have been completed, I will proceed with my own corporal dissolution. As long as the key remains in the physical world, we must keep this complex in pristine condition. Whether it be needed for experiments or otherwise, it must be ready to support the future operations in whatever capacity Master Calyx requires. To that end, facility equipment will be maintained in stasis mode. Furthermore, a critical component for secure room access will be stored separately to defend against unauthorized entry. All right. So we gain a little bit more context there. Beverage station. Let's examine this. Having lain dormant for years, the now active coffee maker has already entered a self-cleaning cycle. It appears to have no other purpose beyond brewing coffee, though it remains to be seen when it will be able to do so once more. Let's check out these office shelves. I'm starting to get stuff for work. You find a crumpled note wedged between the file binders. Secure room, lift access, requires passwords to be simultaneously input in the terminals. Proto Lab, the Duo Lab, and the director's office. Perhaps this discovery should be of interest to Shell. Might as well check this one out. The collection of soul cells have once belonged to the director. They appear to be empty. Alright, so this is opened up again. You have located this in the locker. Let's open the locker this time. Let's see what happens here. The door to the locker swings easily open. Oh man, dude has a motivational wall. It contains nothing of note. You quietly shut the locker. Alright, let's check this out now. Have you found something? Yee, I found this crumpled note. Thank you. A misplaced note, was it? With instructions for accessing a secure room, no less, seems we need to enter a password on 3 different terminals at the same time. There was no such room marked on the map, was there? No, a precautionary measure, no doubt. And if passwords are involved, I expect the access lift to itself be concealed too. Concealed by electrope, you mean? Ah, could it be that wall? I thought it seemed odd when I walked past. Remember what Kakuya said, Shell. Never trust an electrope surface. The electrope isn't always what it appears to be. You can pass right through electrope. Truly, it never had that property in my time. Ah, Andrewza is having a little fun, I think. What we mean is electrope can project a false appearance. This part of the game, yes, this is my first playthrough of this, so I'm kind of discovering it as we go. In which case, it shouldn't be too hard to disable. Another door. I've managed to deactivate the projection, but the lock is another story. Didn't that note lay out a password control or protocol? I say we go ahead and try it. I agree. 2 people should prepare the lab terminals for input while the rest of us look for passwords in here in the office. I'll take the proto lab. She'll take the deuter lab. Actually, it might be better if you stayed, Sphene. Your knowledge of Alexandria and its people could be needed here. Yes, you're right. If the passwords are hiding behind clues, that might be something I can help with. Yeah, we can discuss it. But like I said earlier, I'd prefer to have that over Instagram, so it's not, you know, whatever pricing you throw me may not be the same for somebody else, depending on like how much work you do to it. So, I don't want any discrepancies there. So if you wouldn't mind, just shoot me that discussion in Instagram. I'd be willing to have that. Yes, you're right. If the passwords are hiding behind clues, something I can help with. I can help too. I've lived my whole life in Alexandria after all. I will take the Deuter Lab duty. We can keep in touch via communicator to match our timing. You shall have the honor of entering the office password. Once we determine what we need to input, take your place at this terminal and I'll stand by to guide Wolflumet and Kryl through the process. You know, there was a display plate over there, one with the gems. I thought since it was made of electrope, it might have some other purpose. But I couldn't find any switches or buttons to make it do anything. Maybe you can figure it out? Looks like there's a missing gem. would hate for that to be the key, and then all of a sudden, he gets sopped up by the bad guy. 2 jewels are embedded in this electrode plate. You identify the blue as sapphire and the red as garnet. There also appears to be an empty slot for another jewel to fill. Let me see if it'll let me have another outlook on this, maybe. Nope. You have yet to discover enough clues to deduce the password. Let me go through this junk again. Maybe it'll trigger another scene. That didn't help either. Obviously. Let me run around to see if there's anything else sparkling here. Doesn't look like it. So we'll come back here. See, like this part is confusing. Yeah, I got it. I'm just going to streamline this for a little bit because I got to finish this before I can get ready to go to work. 2 jewels embedded. So he's just going to show me that part. I don't need to. So what am I missing here? Because I've flicked through this. That had nothing to do with anything. You identify the blue as sapphire and the gem as garnet. There also appears to be an empty slot for another jewel. So keep calm. Everything will be fine. There's got to be another jewel. Probably somewhere else in this. I'm assuming it's a green one. Like a jade of some type. Like those are usually stereotypically like squared. We've already taught the Wolflamat. Sturdy box because she's tiny. There's got to be something I should trigger here. What will you... Maybe I should have read that. Let's solve the puzzle. You got it. Let's see. If I move this bit, then connect this circuit to that one. There. Huh? There was something inside. It's a pretty green stone. I called it out, didn't I? Usually, like, there's a green stone. I think it might be an Alexandrianite. They say these gems were so treasured in the past that they named the kingdom after them. Here, you should hold on to this one just in case. Two jewels are embedded on this electrode plate. You identify the blue gem as a sapphire, green is garnet, or red is garnet. This also appears to be an empty slot to fill the jewel. Right, we're going to put the Alexandrite there. Booyah! The gemstone fits snugly into place. Most immediately afterwards, the glowing lines of the diagram on the display accompanied by a short phrase. Could this represent an arcane circuit? Maybe? You consider the display before you. On second thought, perhaps the shapes are too simple for electric circuit. The floor is definitely the floor plan. As you continue to study the display, you realize that these shapes correspond to the rooms of the complex in which you now stand. This is to be related to the passwords that you were looking for. Yeah, so Protolab, Sapphire, Garnet is Deuter Lab, and then Alexandrite is the director's office. This scene cannot be skipped. Scrawled phrase. The glowing words appear to be handwritten. Yes, I knew that the jewel would come in handy. Let me see. This must be about the special meanings Alexandrians have for gems. It's an old belief that I think each gem means something different. I bet if you ask Sabine, she could tell you more about it. After all, even her name comes from the gemstones. Yeah, like sapphire. Still, there it is. So let's chat with Sveen. Yes, if you have questions, you need only ask. The symbolism of Alexandrite. Well, I was taught that Alexandrite represents the concept of protection. It is, incidentally, also the origin of Alexandria's name. Oh, are you thinking it has something to do with the passwords? Yee. A sapphire and garnet as well, as you say. They all have meanings. Alexandrite said is protection. Sapphire represents honesty and garnet represents devotion. We should try these words at the terminals to see if they are accepted. I certainly hope we're right. You have gathered enough information to attempt entering the passwords. Here we go. We're all set to go here. Wuklamat and Kryle, we're just waiting on their passwords. Let's start with Wuklamat at the Protolab. What should be her... Let's see here. Protolab is the Garnet, which should be Devotion. Kryle and wait, I just said they told me the Prot. Nope, I messed that up. I was thinking Deuter Lab for some reason. See, like this. Yeah, Protolab, Sapphire. Protolab. Alright, Protolab is honesty. devotion, protection. And we have activated it. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that worked. That secure room is the only place we've yet to search. If the data relay is anywhere, it has to be there. We'll venture in as soon as Wuklamat and Kryle rejoin us. Scene skips. Continue the chat. All right, everyone. Time to board the lift and see what awaits us.
This terminal doesn't look special to me, but this is definitely what we're after?
It is. But whether or not it will suffice for our purposes is another question.
The Endless are created using the memories of the deceased. But as memories are, in essence, collections of data, the resultant entities have no physical form. These data entities, as we might call them, have only two methods for interacting with the material world. One of these we saw in Living Memory, where the Endless are granted temporary bodies through the use of corporeal ether. They become much like solid ghosts that one can see and touch. The other method, which Kafkiwa employed, is the remote operation of a machine. But where do you suppose the Endless are to be found when not inhabiting a physical body?
The Endless are memories, and if memories are data, then...
Inside Electrope somewhere. In a world formed of data. In a world formed of data.
Yes, we suspect they reside in a virtual domain, one contained entirely within an electrope-based machine. We've seen such a realm before, after all.
Oh, you mean like the Alexandria made from the Endless Fiend's memories? It all seems so real.
So this virtual domain, it would also be housed within the Meso terminal.
But how? I thought we shut down all the terminals in Living Memory.
You did. And Kafkiwa's program performed just as she intended. The Meso terminal itself was deactivated, as evidenced by the failure of the device which was keeping Spheen's body in stasis. Be that as it may, we face a master of electrope engineering. That he managed to partition and protect the sector harboring his own memories is well within the bounds of possibility.
Let us say that the Meso terminal does indeed contain a second domain, and that Calyx himself resides there. This city, on the other hand, exists here in the source. That being the case, I thought perhaps we could prevent his remote interference by closing the gate to the Golden City, and thus severing the connection between worlds.
Except I tried to close it once already when I visited Living Memory. The process required administrative authorization, a restriction I assumed at the time had been imposed by the Queen.
But now you think Calyx might be responsible.
Just as I suspected. Even now, security transmissions from throughout the keep are being tapped by the core system and routed elsewhere. Almost every single one has you as its focus. He's keeping track of the keyholder's movements.
Oh, my dog.
And what a waste of time it's been. Hoping to find me by tracing security data? That will not be necessary. Through a not inconsiderable effort, I've taken your measure and prepared a force sufficient to subdue you.
Oh, I finally get to a fight now? Ugh, what time is it? 8:35.
Come. I invite
Not
you
that
to
great.
the upper reaches of the meso terminal. The storage device which holds my memories is there. Break the memory bank and victory is yours. I, in turn, will seek to wrest the key from you with any and every means at my disposal.
And if we refuse this invitation?
I will wait and continue to convert Alexandrians into endless. Consider the urgency of the situation and make the wiser choice.
Answer me one question, Calyx. The Endless Fiend. When she was queen, you had her face an impossible task, then manipulated her into using the key when she was at her most desperate. If you can do all that, then why not whisk it away when her plans went to ruin? Why let it fall into our hands?
You pour salt in the wound. That disaster was a miscalculation on my part. As her end drew near, Sphene and her restructured memories had become one with the terminal's control systems. In that singular place, in that singular moment, she wielded an authority greater than mine. Thus she was able to shield you, the neighboring sovereign to whom she entrusted her nation's future, and the hero to whom she entrusted that priceless key. I am unsure to what degree she perceived my presence, but she knew that someone was watching. Does that satisfy your curiosity?
It does. And I'm satisfied that you will take nothing more from this nation. Not one more life, not one more future, not one single smile from another child's face. You hear me? Sorry for losing my temper, but there's only one way we can deal with people like Calyx. Whatever grand future he envisions, someone will be made to pay the price. And I won't let that happen.
Hmm. Let's go with he's wrong if he thinks he's taken our measure. Still no dungeon.
I realize it is not my place to say this. Even so, I must thank you both. On behalf of my other self, allow me to say how grateful I am to have you as our champions.
Phew. Well, that was an adventure. It may not have been the method Shell was hoping for, but at least now we know where to find Calyx and what we need to do next. Indeed, while I remain curious about Preservation's research into the key, that is an investigation for another day. Then let's head straight to the back room. We should be able to get everyone on the same page before we make our next move. Dang that B word, Calyx. He waited until I was this close before scratching away my moment of triumph. And that infuriating, condescending way he spoke to us, well, we'll see whose time is up, you smug little weasel. Anyway, I know things didn't go to plan, but we learned a great deal about preservation, and that knowledge could come in handy in the days to come. Though I may not be able to contribute much to a direct confrontation, I mean to see this through with you all, providing whatever support I can. And that's the end of a calculated. We still get more. Good. But this is where I gotta check you out, alright? So, appreciate Naomi for checking in. Thanks for the follow again. And, again, her, artistic designs, I can't wait to look at them when I get around to it today. But everybody else, thanks for checking in, watching this on video demand. It was a little bit slower than I anticipated, but nonetheless, I hope you got a little bit out of it, especially like from my initial knee-jerk reactions. But nonetheless, y'all have a good day.